This is the multiply on page 6 where we ask you to multiply two numbers together, and it's kind of like regular multiplication. We'd say 0 times anything was going to give me 0 all the way across that first line, but when you get to the second bit you have to move over one. You have to put in a 0 to space yourselves over one, and then you can start to put in the value. So the first one is going to be 1 times 0. That's going to give me 0 again, but then it just basically copies the value. That'll be 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, and then as I move over to the other one, that'll give me the same thing. I'll space it twice, and that'll give me 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, and then the last one will be 3 spaces over, and then a 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1. So these things do look rather nicely symmetric. But let's see if we can then add the two values together. I struck off the top so I can make this a little easier on myself. So as I add these together, I wind up getting a 0 for this column, 0 for this column, and then we start to have to look for carryover bits. This is the one with no carryover. That's a 0 with 1 carryover. Now, what do we do when we got a 1 and a 1 and a 1 and a 1? Well, the first two bits would produce a 0 with a carryover bit. The second two bits will produce another 0 with a carryover bit. So we wind up taking these two and collapsing them together to give you a 0 and a carryover bit, which makes 2 carryover bits for that column. Then I do the same thing here. These two give me a 0 with 1 carryover bit, and so do these. Give me a 0 down here with a carryover bit. So once again, I've got 4 carryover bits, or well, 2 carryover bits, and a total of 4 bits in this column. So I'm going to do the same thing here. That's a 1 with 2 carryover bits, and now we're starting to get into a number that begins to break down the carryover bits. This is 3 bits. 2 of those would give me a 0 with a carryover, but the third one would give me a 1 there. So the only thing I got is 1 carryover bit. That winds up giving me this for my final value, and then I can go ahead and try to interpret that value by trying to figure out what the heck this says. And I don't know what it says, so let's take a look and see what it says. This is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 for that one, 128 for that one, 256 for that one, and 512 for that one. So it looks like that's registering a 512, a 128, and that's it, just a 4 after that, right? So that's 14 and 4 and a 6. So this would be 644. So in theory, whatever these two numbers here are together, I should get a 644. And I don't know what those two numbers are either. I guess I didn't think about that in advance. 2, 4, 8. That's a 16 and that's a 32. So this is going to be a 46. And then on the bottom here it looks like I have 8 and 4 and 2, which is 14. So in theory, 46 times 14 is 644. And I don't know if that's true or not. I don't have a calculator here, but just on the initial part of that, that looks like a 24 on that bit. So it looks like it's a pretty good assumption there.